long time no talk. Well, I'm back. It's been a couple of weeks. What was I doing? Well, I don't really have much of an excuse. Just got lazy. But here we are. I didn't leave you hanging for very long, but I'm back. So, I'm Harley Moon, and this is the On the Moon podcast. And I'm solo today, so we're gonna get right to it. What's going on here? What's going on in my world? Oregon had a shutdown, and the governor was doing this week-to-week thing, and I was thinking it was gonna be for a month, and I usually, politicians playing politics. They're, especially with the way that this pandemic has gone. I remember when this whole thing started. At first it was like, oh, 2 weeks, and the virus will be gone. And here we are now. We are over a year into this, and definitely not 2 weeks. So when I hear my state's governor telling us that we were gonna shut down again or go back to extreme risk, at least in our county, which is the Multnomah County, that's where Portland is located in. Figured, okay, she's saying, oh, we'll evaluate in a week, and then maybe we'll go from there. And I just figured, okay, you're just saying this to ease us and make us not as mad, but. Like I said, I figured it was going to be a month, but hey, guess what? Opened back up today, as of today, which is Friday, and it took a week, and she actually pulled through on that one, and I'm actually glad. I understand why things went back into extreme risk. Oregon's cases just went crazy. The cases it's. I'm sure it's a debatable topic of who, of the rising cases, but the death rate is lower than in other states. Even a state in Texas or whatever is, they're open back up, and sure, the cases are lower, but the death rate's higher. It's I don't know. I'm not gonna say tomato. That's not really it. It's not really the case. It's However, I don't really agree with things being shut down again. It's just we're getting there. We're getting back to normal. We're working on it. And the whole country, we're slowly making our way back, like state by state. Even my home state of Michigan has went crazy. They had some cases. They went crazy with cases again, but they stayed open. So, and even so, let's just Oregon, let's just stay open. Let's just, if you're gonna take the vaccine, then get that shit done. So let's do it. Trailblazers, they're hosting fans tonight in a limited number, but they finally got on the, got on the wagon of allowing fans into their games, their home games, like everywhere else in the league. So that's encouraging to see, and hope that they're facing the Lakers tonight. That's a big game. They're going to be they're fighting for that final playoff spot, or to avoid the play-in tournament. So go Blazers on that. Dame time. I'm thinking it's Dame time. So let's see him go off. Lakers had their year last season, so let's see the Blazers get a good run and not have to be in desperation mode and have to play in again for the second consecutive season. Anyway, so I didn't mean to get into basketball, but I had to throw that out there because it was relatable to the Oregon shutdown and whatever. So noticing more people that I know getting the vaccine done. Hearing all sorts of different stories about it, and that's another thing too. Just seeing or hearing about it more. I am still waiting to get to get mine done. I got to figure that out. I know it's kind of crazy to get in and or whatever, make an appointment. I just got to get on it. I got to just start getting on that shit. Because I want to be able to, I want to travel. I'm trying to travel back to Detroit at some point this summer and visit family and friends. And it's been long overdue. I haven't been out there since I moved out here almost 2 years ago now. So I'm way overdue for a visit there. So I don't care what one it is. I don't care if it's J&J or Pfizer or Moderna. I just want to get this shit done. And then because I'm sure that when I go back to work, it'll be something that they're gonna encourage. Since I'm in the entertainment field, I'm sure they're gonna encourage me having be vaccinated. And looks like my work is gonna be starting up again in the fall, because where I work, the Oregon Symphony is they've announced that they're going to be coming back and starting concerts again in the fall, which means I'm going to be working that shit. So it's cool. It's good to see. It's good to hear, and I'm looking forward to doing that. But we're roughly about 4 or 5 months from that happening, and well, in due time. So yeah, I'm just getting a little tired of trying to find things to do, and while not catching this virus. And I've done an incredible job not catching this virus, not catching the Rona, Corona. So, and with that, actually, because I keep trying new things, I keep doing stuff, trying to occupy my time. One thing that has actually happened more recently for me in the last couple of weeks was I picked up, I renewed an old hobby of mine from when I was like 12 or 13 years old, and it's I don't know if it's fingerboarding, like tech decks. If you remember those from back in the day during the golden age of the X Games and all that. I mean, all this stuff's still out there, and kind of started. It just was weird. Outside of my apartment building, there's this ledge, and I was looking at it, and I was just like, that'd be really cool to just do a kickflip off of or something if I had a tech deck. And I thought about it for about a week or whatever, just kind of, I wasn't really like serious about it. And then the more I thought about it, I was just like, all right, let's, you know what? All right, fuck it. I'm just gonna get some tech decks. I'm gonna do it. So I ended up buying a few, and immediately fell back in love with it. And it just was, and like the stuff that I used to be able to do from back in the day, I started picking it back up again. And I was curious. I went on YouTube, and I was just starting to learn. I wanted to learn more of what was going on in that world. I was looking up tech videos, and then I kind of just stumbled across these YouTube channels of people that have these channels that are mostly dedicated to fingerboarding, not just with tech decks. There's a whole world out there. I did not even realize how crazy this market has become, and how the fingerboard world has just evolved. There's all these little companies that are out there. They're all over the world. They make way better products than Tech Deck. Tech Deck is like they're the only. I used to think they were the only. I thought they were still the only game in town that could hang. And but then I find out that there's all this shit out there. I knew that there was competitions I had heard about it. I tried doing it again like 8 or 9 years ago, but it was like a 2 day thing. I found some old tech decks and just, you know, I quit on it pretty fast. But yeah, I do know I did know that there were competitions. So, but these boards are just incredible. They're made out of wood, not not plastic. They're handcrafted beautifully. They Some of them are measured or sized differently than others. There's all these different measurements now, like the pro decks. Like these are considered pro decks. One that I just picked up was a 34 millimeter one, and I have one I'm waiting for in the mail right here. It should be coming here any minute. Actually, it's 32 millimeter from this company called Teak Tuning, based out of New York. The grip tape is not like sandpaper on these, like as you would normally figure on a standard tech deck. It's foam grip, and holy shit, I'm flying through this thing. Like it honestly, like I'm holding on to mine right now, and it is just like it's just like a mini skateboard. It's like if Rick Moranis had his like shrinking machine from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and just shrunk an actual skateboard, like literally, like right down to the wheels. Like they just got like the bearings are just, there's bearings on these wheels, and just it just glides so nicely. And I'm hooked. I've been addicted to this. So figured I needed some type of nerdy hobby. I think you're entitled to at least one nerdy or geeky thing to do, and I think this is it. I think I found my thing. These fingerboards are great. I'm gonna be buying more, and they're more expensive than a $3 tech deck. Or tech deck also has these performance series ones that it's their version of what these little companies do. And I haven't bought one of those. I'm probably not going to buy one for a while, unless I'm really curious, just to compare. But I think I'm done buying tech deck stuff, these things are incredible. I want to look at more companies. I want to try out other companies. Teak Tuning though has been great. So now I'm gonna have a couple of these guys now, and even like getting ramps and rails, like the whole like obstacle course. I know I sound like I'm regressing in age, and that I've just regressed 20 years younger, and I wish I was, but but even these companies that make ramps and rails, legit as fuck, man. I mean, we're talking like wood and steel and all that, not plastic. I don't want plastic. Because I did the plastic thing when I was a kid, and what drove me nuts was how I would try to use a ramp or something, and it would just slide off. It would just slide. It wouldn't stay in position, and that was frustrating. And I didn't like the sound of it either. I didn't like the hollow plastic sound, and so I started looking into the ramps and rails. There's so much out there. There's like, I think like the biggest company right now is called Black River, based in Germany, I believe. And I guess they're the top dogs out there in this world. And they make, and I guess they make some really legit shit. And but the shit's, I mean, it's expensive. I don't know when or if I'll dive into that, but I looked at some other companies and actually had some stuff come in today. I've been kind of grabbing stuff here and there over the last week. I got a couple of rails that like actual just weighted steel, like it just sounds so good. And then, in fact, hold on, I'll give you an example. I'm not doing a trick here, but it's just, this is my board. It's just real steel. I don't know. That probably sounds like shit on the recording, but then I also got these ramps, really cool, like a kicker ramp, and I got a grind box, and It's fun. It's really fun. It's been unbelievably exciting to me. Like I didn't think I was gonna get into this like that, but I just wanted to see if I could do a kickflip still. And um, now I just know what's going on out there, and it's really excited me with this. And I'm practicing. I practice every day on this, and not because like, oh, I want to be the best in the world. Honestly, these kids out there, man, they're ridiculous. They're so good, and um, I don't think I would love to enter a competition and get my ass whooped. Uh, I actually would like to do that someday. You know, probably give me like a year or two or something, and I'll join in. You know, I'll be the fucking weird ass old guy entering, and meanwhile, some 13-year-old's gonna win like 5 grand over me and whatever. And you actually can win like that kind of money. I'm not sure what it is now. I know Tech Deck threw one some years back. They're still doing. They just did a virtual competition too. Because not doing it because of COVID and all, but like in person stuff. But they had a cool thing going on. I don't know if you needed an actual tech deck though to enter. I would assume that they want that tech deck name involved. But yeah, I don't know. The shit's legit, and it's fun putting this together. It reminds me of like assembling a board or whatever. It's kind of like putting together like a model of something, or like a car, like a model car, or or I don't know, like you can make, like, I don't know, like I want to make a like a little mini skate park. I've been kind of looking up videos on how to do that, like with DIY and all that, and there are ways. And once again, these kids are just ridiculously smart, and it's incredible. It's incredible stuff, and I'm blown away with it. So it's been really, yeah. So it's been really fun doing this. So I'm gonna keep doing that, and yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, I can get really good one day and enter a competition and get knocked out in the first fucking thing in it. So yeah, you'll probably be hearing me talk about this shit more as time goes on and whatever. So that's yeah, I don't know. I'll keep you posted on my progress with all that. Yeah. So another thing that one of the other, I guess, COVID hobbies, not really a hobby, just an interest that I've really started embracing more is UFC. I've talked about UFC in the past on here, but I'm really starting to dive deep into it even further, and I love watching it. I love watching fighting. It's so exciting, and it's hard to not root for for a fighter or these fighters. And and since I'm still kind of learning about it, I have a better understanding about the sport now than a year ago. It's so I'm not. So when I see a fight, like, I'm not usually just like, oh, I want this person to win. Well, not usually. I do have favorites, but even if my favorite loses, I'm still happy for whoever beat my favorite. Yeah, so let's see here. So I actually wanted to dive into this a little bit here because there have been some pay-per-views recently, and that have been just spectacular. Let's see here. What was UFC 261? I think that's what it was. Yeah, it was UFC 261 that happened a couple of weeks ago. It was the main event was Kamaru Usman against Jorge Masvidal, and it was also the first time. It was in Jacksonville, Florida. So this was also the first time that the UFC could host an event with a full packed crowd. In like an arena, it was like 15,000 people. So, I mean, we'll see how much COVID cases go up out there. I haven't really checked or anything, but we'll see what happens there. But Anyway, so it was a really good good card. Like even like like the prelims, the preliminary fights. There was early prelims, and then there's the actual prelim card, and then you have the pay-per-view card, and what was it? So right out the gate, the very first fight, which is the very first fight fans got to see live in over a year. And it was a women's battle. Hold on, I'm so unorganized. My notes are all over the place here. It was a strawweight fight, which was, that's like the lightest weight division in all of UFC, which is, I believe it's 115 pounds. All right, so these women are 115 pounds, but holy shit, these chicks were scrapping. It was between Liang Na and Ariane Carnelossi, or Carnelosi. Sorry, I may have butcher bobbed that one, but right out the gate, they were just, oh my god, they were just beating the shit out of each other, just throwing haymakers, and it was an exciting fight. Fans went nuts over it, and I think they were driven off the energy of the crowd too. And it goes to show you that the crowd really plays a factor in fighters' performances. It's been really exciting to watch, and it's been really interesting to watch fights from just in front of no crowds, and you hear everything so clearly, like the punches or the strikes. It was it was a fantastic fight. Carnelosi beat Liang Na in the second round. I think it was 1 minute 28 seconds into the second round. Just a fantastic fight. It was very exciting. And then but then there was one, oh my god, hold on. There was a really, really awful during the main card, there was just an unfortunate incident. Oh shit, there's so much shit. It was all right. So it was Uriah Hall against Chris Weidman, and Chris Weidman is a highly respected fighter, middleweight fighter. And so 17 seconds into the fight, Chris Weidman threw the very first strike, and it was a leg kick, and it hit Uriah Hall. It got him right in the knee, but it was the most gruesome injury I've probably ever seen, maybe in all of sports. Definitely in combat sports for sure. It was Chris Weidman's leg just snapped, like just as soon as his kick hit the knee, it just his leg just turned into like Stretch Armstrong's, like, remember that toy Stretch Armstrong? It just turned into that. Oh my, it just turned into rubber, and he went down. And oh man, God, you gotta hate to see that. It was just so gruesome. It was really hard to watch that. And the poor guy, that's gonna take him out for at least a year, maybe a year and a half, if he comes back to fighting. I hope he does too. And and by that technicality, Uriah Hall got the win, and yeah, so that was unfortunate. And then there was another really, really fun fight, which was between women's strawweight champion Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas, otherwise known as Thug Rose. Thug Rose is probably my favorite. She's one of my favorite fighters in all of UFC right now. But by far my favorite women's fighter. She's got quite an incredible story to her as well, and I'll get, maybe I'll talk about that one some other time. But anyway, she knocks out Zhang in the first round in 1 minute and 18 seconds, just with a kick, and just kicked her right in the head, just Zhang just went down, um, and so. And what was really awesome with Thug Rose was that when she's being introduced, when Michael Buffer or Bruce Buffer, is it Michael Buffer or Bruce Buffer? I think it's Bruce Buffer. Wait, shit. Hold on. I got to get this right. Bruce Buffer. Yeah, Bruce Buffer. My bad. I got confused with Michael Buffer. It was because there was another boxing match with Jake Paul. I'll get to the Jake Paul thing in a little bit. But, when Bruce Buffer was given the intro to both fighters, when it was Thug Rose, she's sitting there saying, "I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best." And hell yeah, she's the best. So she won the title. Now, the significant thing about her winning the title is that she's now a 2-time strawweight champion. She's also the very first fighter in UFC history to win a title, lose it, and then regain it back. No one else in UFC history has done that. There have been 2 division champions, Conor McGregor being the first, Daniel Cormier being the second, and then I believe Amanda Nunes being the third as well. I think there's someone else. Oh, fuck. I know there's at least 3. Those are the 3 right there. So she's in her own category. She's alone in the category of regaining a title. Conor McGregor's trying to get to that point again. I don't know if he's going to do it though, because now he's kind of messed around with some weight classes and all that, and he's got a big match coming up against Dustin Poirier. It's going to be the third fight of a trilogy there, and so that's going to be an interesting fight. That fight will determine, I think, winner will fight for either the lightweight title or Conor McGregor's talking about going to welterweight. We'll see. But yeah. Anyway, and then so let's get to let's get to the main event of that pay-per-view, which was Kamaru Usman against Jorge Masvidal. Kamaru Usman, I'm a huge fan of his. He has been so dominant. He's what was it? His record. He's only lost 1 fight ever, and he's 19-1. And he's 19-1 as of now, and last time he lost was his 2nd fight ever. So he took on Jorge Masvidal, and Masvidal is just that's another scrapper there. That guy can take a punch like no one. And Masvidal is famous. What he's mostly infamous for, or for at least from what I can at least say is the Ben Askren knockout. It was about, what was it? It was the fastest knockout in history, I believe. Right when the fight started, when Askren and Masvidal went to the center, Masvidal ran right up to the middle and kneed him right in the head, knocked him out, game over. And then that also followed with Masvidal facing Nate Diaz for what is the BMF title, which is Bad Motherfucker. The Rock actually made an appearance on that. There was a whole thing with him promoting it, and it was pretty cool. So Masvidal is called the BMF champion. He doesn't have to defend it or anything. It's just it's kind of like an award that you earn rather than just like you fight for, rather than just someone just giving it to you. And so he'll probably never defend it, and I don't know, that's a whole thing. It'd be cool if he did defend it again, or he did a rematch with Nate Diaz, because it was a great fight between them, and it went to a decision instead of a knockout or submission. So that would be interesting to see if they could ever do that again. So anyway, with this match with Usman against Masvidal, that was a really fun fight. It went to the 2nd round. Kamaru Usman laid out this nasty punch about 1 minute into the 2nd round, and oh my god, honestly it's a pretty iconic punch from knocked out Masvidal. And yeah, in Masvidal, that was the first time Masvidal was ever been knocked out ever. And Masvidal has had a lot of fights. He's fought officially 50 times. And so that was the first time he ever got laid out. And but what's so iconic about that punch was that not only did he land it so perfectly, but during when the first round ended and when he was when they were in their corners, Masvidal's coaches poured water over his head, and so he had water on him. And so when that punch landed, all this water is like mist. It just looked insane. It looked crazy, and there's this photo of it too. It's just, oh my God. It's like it has like Tyson, Muhammad Ali kind of like vibes. It just really cool. So Usman, he won, and Usman's part of three African champions right now in the UFC. So he is the welterweight champion at 170. I don't know who's going to be able to take him out. I really don't know. And then you got Israel Adesanya, who's in middleweight, which is the next weight class above. And Adesanya is unbelievable too. And he's been dominant in his own division. And then you got Francis Ngannou, who is the new heavyweight champion. He just won that last month against Stipe Miocic. And Miocic had a long run as champion. And he just took him out. Like, Ngannou that's a bad dude. That, like, scary as fuck looking. But Kamaru Usman, I don't know. I'm a huge fan of all these fighters. I love seeing that. And Adesanya, he was undefeated up until recently. So middleweight is his class, which is at 185, and he decided to take on Jan Blachowicz. Blachowicz. Oh man, butcher Bob that name too. Who is the light heavyweight champion, and he was competing. He wanted to be a 2-division champion, and so Adesanya went the distance with him, went all 5 rounds, and the decision went to Jan though, giving Adesanya his first loss. But I mean, so what? I mean, this dude's 20-1, and he lost. His first loss came in a weight class that was not his own, not one that he's comfortable with. So he's going to be having a match that's coming up in June, I think. Yeah, June, and he'll be facing let's see, Vettori, Martin Vettori, I believe, and what the hell? It's 262? Oh, it's 263, my bad. 262, I'm going to get to that in a second. Yeah, Marvin Vettori, Jesus. See, I'm still learning here. I don't know everybody yet, so this will be my first good look at Vettori. I've seen highlights of his though, and he's a good fighter. But I think Izzy wins this one. I'm already saying if I had a bet, then I'd have to. My money is on Adesanya taking over. 262 in the main event. There is Charles Oliveira against Michael Chandler, and that's for the vacant lightweight title that Khabib Nurmagomedov left behind because he retired. And Khabib, if you don't know who Khabib is, if you're not familiar with fighting, this guy is basically the GOAT of UFC. He retired undefeated, 29-0. I wish he fought one more time to get that 30-0, but I think he feels like that he's done all that all that he could accomplish, and now he's coaching, and you still see him as a coach in the corners, and yeah, obviously he's an amazing fighter, and so thing is, I got a little bit of an issue with Michael Chandler fighting for the title already. And the reason being is that Michael Chandler just signed with UFC over the winter, I believe. And this is only his second fight with them, and he was in Bellator, I believe, before that, and was dominant there, and has a 22-5 record. Impressive fighter. In the first fight I saw him, he was dominant then, which earned him that title shot. Should he get a title shot so fast? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I would say Dustin Poirier deserves it over him, but Charles Oliveira, he's deserving of the title shot. But the thing is, I guess the reason why Michael Chandler is going to be doing this instead of someone like Dustin Poirier, because the Conor McGregor fight is a mega fight. So anytime Conor McGregor is booked for a fight, it's blockbuster implications. So that's why it's also looking like whoever the winner of the Poirier and McGregor fight is gonna contend. They're gonna contend for the lightweight title. And I'm gonna say, I mean, even though I'm ragging on Chandler getting the title shot so soon, my money's on him to win it. I think he's gonna win the lightweight title. And goddamn, so then I think that's what they're setting it up for. Because I think UFC, I think Dana White believes that Michael Chandler is gonna win this fight. And I mean, Michael Chandler against Conor or Dustin. I mean, that's a big fight right there. That has a lot of potential. But Conor McGregor is curious. He seems curious to move up to 170, which is welterweight, and take on Kamaru Usman. Which, holy shit, that would be one insane fight as well. But that could that's Conor McGregor he's already trash talked. He's getting ready to do. He's doing Conor McGregor things, and he's just being himself again. It's good to see him not be such a nice guy anymore with all of his crazy whiskey money and all that. But he seems like he's got a chip on his shoulder. So McGregor, I mean, shit, McGregor against Michael Chandler or Usman, man, that would be insane. That would be one incredible fight. I think either would be great. I think if McGregor wins against Poirier, then he's gonna fight Michael Chandler. If he beats Michael Chandler, he's probably gonna go after Kamaru Usman next and try to be the first fighter to win two titles in two different weight divisions for the second time in his career. No one else has ever done that before. Or if Poirier wins, then Poirier's going to get the title shot against the winner of the lightweight title match, which, Poirier against Chandler would be an incredible fight to see. Even Oliveira would be a great one to see as well. And then McGregor would probably just decide, all right, fuck it, I'm going to move up to 170 and I'm going to fight someone else, and then make my mark there. And if Kamaru Usman is still champion, I'm assuming Usman's not going anywhere. I don't see anybody taking that dude's title. And then if it can be a McGregor against Usman fight, that would be a really fun fight to see. But I think Kamaru Usman beats Conor McGregor, even though I'm a huge Conor McGregor fan. So, yeah, it'd be, I mean, I don't know, but then right now, but speaking of Kamaru Usman, it's looking like that he's going to be going up against Colby Covington for a second fight between those two. The last fight happened. First fight ended in I think TKO, or it was knockout with 1 minute left in the fifth and final round. Covington had a broken jaw throughout that fight, not from the beginning, but during the fight he got his jaw broken by Usman. And that's how tough this dude, that Kamaru Usman is. And if you don't know who Colby Covington is, he's basically the biggest heel in UFC at the moment. And He's this dude who, I mean, you love to hate him because he was doing the whole MAGA hat thing and being, like Trump supporter and stuff like that and whatever. And like, I mean, he was just being like, he was like, I guess he was sort of like Donald Trump if Donald Trump was a fighter. Uh, so, um, so he had a fan base. He had a following, and he also had plenty of people that hate him. However, with Trump not being president anymore, I wonder if he's still going to wear the MAGA hat. That's something I'm curious about. He's going to talk shit. He's going to talk his shit. I think it's time for him to move on. I think he made his point with being a heel. People will always remember him for that. And he's a former champion as well, and he's a tough dude. He's a really good fighter as well. Colby Covington is a good fighter. Love him or hate him, great fighter. I would love to see this fight again. My money would be on Usman doing it, winning. However, I think Covington. I think he goes the distance. I think they go all 5 rounds this time. I think he learns from his mistakes from the last fight. But the decision, I'm gonna say Usman takes it. I think Usman defends it. Like I said, I don't know who beats him. I don't know who beats this guy. He might just take it to retirement. I don't know. That's how good Kamaru Usman is. So yeah, So UFC it's a fun time. It's a really exciting time to be a fan. One quick thing one more thing I want to talk about with fighting is we'll move on from UFC, and I want to talk about the Paul brothers, Jake Paul and Logan Paul. This has been a big buzz throughout the fighting world. Jake Paul and Logan Paul, if you don't know who they are, they're these YouTubers, famous YouTube stars. They're known. They're heels as well. They're like in the fighting world right now. They're like the top heels in all of combat sports because they're not really like professional fighters. But they're in it. They're in it. So for instance, okay, we'll start here. We'll start with Jake Paul. Jake Paul, resident bad guy. He's done 3 fights. He's done them with with Triller, and Triller's a fucking shit show. It's a circus, but it's not. It's I don't know. It's just really tacky to me. It ain't for me. So Jake Paul, he fought this one dude first. I forgot who he was. Beat him, and then he beat a former NBA player, Nate Robinson. Knocked him out. So then they're like, okay, well you beat this NBA player who's a tough dude who can scrap, but how about you go up against a real fighter? So Ben Askren, former UFC fighter, he comes in. He's retired too. He decides. Well, he challenges Jake Paul, and then they have this whole fight. The whole MMA community was rooting for Ben Askren. Everyone's thinking, okay, this dude, Ben Askren, come on, MMA fighter, he's going to take out this kid. He's going to take this kid out. And Jake Paul's like, what, it's 23, 24, really young dude. Built very well too. He's, Jake Paul is no slouch. So everyone, it looked like, okay, Ben Askren just looks really relaxed and comfortable, and he looks like he's ready to win the fight. So they, when they're promoting the fight, doing the whole weigh-ins or whatever, and he, talking shit to each other, the weigh-ins came in, and Ben Askren takes off his shirt, and no one realized it until then how out of shape this dude was and how not serious he was taking the fight. I think he just knew he was going to make $1 million either way, because that was what the loser's purse I think was arranged to make. So so everyone's like, oh geez, oh, I don't know, we don't know, I don't know. I still had hope, but then the fight happens, and Jake Paul knocks out Ben Askren first round. So, and everyone's like, well, all right. So Jake Paul, and not to take anything away from Jake Paul, he may be an asshole, but he can fight a bit. He's got those qualities, but he even said himself he wished that the fight went on a little bit longer so that he could have shown the world what he's made of. I'm curious to see. I'd love to see what this dude is made of. But it's quite an interesting story, because now the more that this dude wins, the more you want to see him lose. The more you can't wait to see him lose. You wonder who he's going to go up against next. And I think, it's got my curiosity. So so now Jake Paul, his ego is through the goddamn roof right now. He is just gloating up a storm. And rightfully so. Hey, man, dude's getting his money. He's getting his payday. Being a true heel. And look, I love a good heel. I love a good heel. But I love a heel that can actually make you hate them. Like, you just be like, oh, this dude is such a prick. But then you're just like, oh, I gotta watch him though. Got to do it. And, you're gritting your teeth over it. So, and he's hustling with it too. He's doing all sorts of shenanigans. I'm gonna get to this Logan Paul thing in a second, because he had an involvement. But Daniel Cormier, right after because he went on Instagram and talked about Ben Askren. He was watching the Ben Askren fight, and he's talking about it. And then Jake Paul decides to talk some shit to him, I think over the internet or whatever, and then on Twitter or something, whatever. And then, so then Jake Paul goes to that UFC event in Jacksonville, and he's sitting behind Daniel Cormier. And Daniel Cormier, one of the most dominant, decorated fighters in MMA history. And all around, seems like a great dude too. But he doesn't fuck around. So then Jake Paul is just, I guess Daniel Cormier, I guess what happened when he was commentating, because he's a commentator for UFC now, and he looked behind him, he sees Jake Paul. Jake Paul's just giving him some shit, just throwing some antics, and so Daniel Cormier literally during a fight that he had to commentate, he gets out of the commentator's booth and walks up to Jake Paul, and starts talking to him. And he's like, I don't play these fucking games. If if you want to fucking fight, and just so gets up in his face. And oh man, I wish it was on camera, but UFC is not going to do that. ESPN's not going to do that. They don't want that kind of smoke going on or whatever, which is understandable. And so that enticed the crowd to end up saying fuck Jake Paul, and you heard it during the pay-per-view on TV, and then because at first Joe Rogan was saying, he's like, what's the crowd chanting, and then Daniel Cormier comes back and he goes, they're chanting F Jake Paul. And he goes, I don't play those games, Joe. And so, it'd be cool to see Daniel Cormier fight Jake Paul and knock his ass out, but that ain't gonna happen. Daniel Cormier doesn't need to do that. He doesn't have to. But that's what an entertaining thing. Jake Paul does put on quite a show. I'll say that. Spectacle nonetheless. So anyway, his brother Logan Paul has a fight scheduled with Floyd Mayweather, and that's going to be an interesting one. That one intrigues me a hell of a lot. Because Floyd Mayweather, this dude is supposed to be the biggest heel in all of fighting, even though he's retired and just does those prize fights now just for a quick cash grab. And that's what this is with Logan Paul. I don't know. I don't really know anything about Logan Paul's fighting, other than that I know that he does it. And so they had a whole little press conference thing, I think yesterday and or whatever this week, and it was in Miami where the Dolphins play, and and so they're talking shit, doing all that, whatever, and but then there was an incident that happened after the fight, or not the fight. I mean the press conference, and Jake Paul gets up in Floyd Mayweather's face, and they start spitting words at each other, and I think Jake Paul was challenging Floyd, or Floyd was challenging Jake, and they were like, let's do it, come on, let's do it. I know that Jake Paul wants to fight Floyd, which I want to see that fight. I want to see that fight more than Logan Paul. Floyd Mayweather, as you may know, he retired at 50-0, and never lost a fight. And say what you want about that dude as well. He is a very, very, very skilled fighter, one of the all-time greats in boxing. And but what happened was that Floyd Mayweather he was wearing a hat, and so then they're going chirp, 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 fuck you, blah blah blah, blah whatever, and then but then Jake Paul does the ultimate childish thing. Now, Jake Paul's nickname is he calls himself the problem child. And this is exactly why. He just goes, gotcha hat, and yanks the hat off Floyd's head and starts running away. You can't make this up. He just went off with the hat. And it just absolutely ludicrous. It is probably the most Jake Paul thing ever. And so that upset Floyd. That upset Floyd. This dude, I don't think I've ever seen Floyd Mayweather be that pissed before. Super pissed. He's all like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, motherfucker. Like that angry, just screaming, just livid. I mean, it was just a power move of disrespect. So what I think is going to happen is Floyd's going to take that out on Logan. Logan's going to lose. And it seems like Jake might be the better fighter too between the brothers. And I hope that Floyd whoops Logan's ass and then takes a fight against Jake, and hopefully Floyd's the one that takes out Jake. But the thing is, does Jake take the fight? I don't know. I don't know if he does. He's talking shit. He's doing all these things. He's ruffling feathers. Does Jake Paul decide to take the fight right after the Logan fight? I don't know. Probably not. I think he wants to ride this wave out for a little while. Probably maybe get one more fight or two in. He needs to fight a boxer though. That's what I think. And hey, and maybe Floyd Mayweather's the one, and maybe Floyd Mayweather ends up being the hero of all this, which would be very ironic because Floyd Mayweather is, like I said, he's a heel, so it would be a heel versus heel boxing match. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. So it's more interesting. This whole fighting world is more interesting than the wrestling world right now. And I'm going to say a quick thing about wrestling, because if you don't know, I am a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of wrestling, or I have been I was as a kid during the Attitude Era with The Rock and Stone Cold, and whatever, and just I was huge on that. And then I fell off because it kind of started getting stale, and then I got back into it about 6 years ago because it was actually getting really interesting again. They actually had interesting characters or stars, and now it's gotten so bad. It is just really bad, and I'm just becoming more and more disappointed. There's only one angle that I like now out of all that, and it's or one dude, and it's Roman Reigns, because he was hated for so long, and now that they finally had him turn heel, which is what fans wanted to see anyway. uh, he's with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is arguably the greatest manager in professional wrestling. And those two together, it's great. It's that's money. That is absolute money for sure. And they have Roman Reigns being just such a dominant force now, and it makes sense finally. And but they're not. There's nothing else out there. There's nothing else. Monday Night Raw sucks. It is just absolute pure garbage. The characters. Well, and there's SmackDown. Roman Reigns is on SmackDown, but in general, they are lacking good, relatable characters. And like now they got these angles with Bray, this wrestler Bray Wyatt and this other woman wrestler Alexa Bliss. They're like these two scary movie type characters trying to do another Undertaker, and it's not working. You can't do another Undertaker. It won't work that way. And then they have Alexa Bliss pulling up this fucking goofy ass magic thing. It's absolutely super fictional. That's my problem with this, is that this shit, we already know that wrestling isn't real in the sense that these characters are being themselves. In some ways maybe they are, but to such a fictitious point of magic and voodoo, or not voodoo, but like I don't know, just like I don't know, just like it just like some hokey shit. I'm gonna steal that from Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette has a podcast and he talks shit about wrestling all the time. Jim Cornette is one of the greatest wrestling promoters and managers of all time. He always has great insight on what professional wrestling is supposed to be and what it should represent, and he's got all sorts of opinions. And I'm let down by WWE right now. It'd be great if they could just build and make wrestlers more like Roman Reigns. That's what makes Roman Reigns so good, is that he's just a bad guy, but he's believable. You can actually believe what he's doing, and you believe in his character and all that, and there aren't enough Roman Reigns in WWE, and there needs to be. So they gotta work on that. They gotta get rid of this fucking kids shit or whatever. It's just ridiculous. So, and I find myself becoming less and less interested. And I don't even really watch the shows anymore. I watch highlights, keep up with the news, gossip, rumors, and all that. I'm intrigued with all that. It just seems like a mess. And then their biggest competitor, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, they're on TNT. They got former WWE wrestlers over there now, and some up and coming wrestlers from the indies. But even that isn't all that convincing. I mean, they both kind of let me down. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on that train. I might just hop right off. So I think it's also because I've been watching so much fighting that are combat sports, that those are real people doing real shit, and they're talking real shit, and it's real. That's what I want to see. I want to see real shit. So, yeah. So that's what I'm into. Yeah. All right. So I mean, that's enough of the fighting, or fighting world. I want to talk about some music really quick. I think if you've been listening to me over the last, well, forever, however long this has been going on, or a few months rather, I've been talking about how I've been jamming with my friend Justin, who I've had on here before, and we get together once a week and we jam, we write music, we're working on something and hopefully we can be ready by the time when shows and gigs can actually be a thing again and like entirely. I think that's a goal we got in mind, and we've been writing songs, we've been powering through it. Just we got about I think like 9 songs in the books right now, roughly, and still hacking away at it, getting ready to record, doing all this shit. I'm looking at, I need to get some gear because I need to think ahead here now, and it's exciting. I'm very excited to do this. It's I feel very, very inspired to get this done and get back to doing the thing that I've been doing for so many years, unsuccessfully. But whatever. Well, the definition of unsuccess is for me is not touring and doing all that, because that's what I would love to do. I want to go on tour. I want to see the world, and I want music to be my excuse. So I take music seriously, and but not to the point to where I'm not having fun. If you're not having fun with it, then what the fuck is the point? So but yeah. So I'm just, like I said, so I guess like that. My update is that we're just, we're still writing, we're still doing all this. We're inching closer. We're probably maybe a month and a half away from starting to record. Possibly, depends on how many more songs we want to write, all that. And I just wish I could be inspired by new music. That's my problem. That's been my biggest problem. It's so few and far in between. And I've said it before, rock music has really let me down. God, even like hip hop is starting to let me down too. And no one's saying anything. It's just the same cliche shit that sells records. I'm over it. I'm so over it. Say something, especially during the times that we live in. There's so much to say, and yet you're still talking about the same cliche shit to fit the genre that you're in. Let's freshen it up, for God's sake. Don't make me have to do it. You don't want me to make the statement. I'm not supposed to be the one. But, God damn it, I will. And ooh, the cream rises to the top. Ooh, yeah. Okay, sorry, I had a little Macho Man Randy Savage moment. If you don't know that quote, you look it up on YouTube. Something about him, Macho Man, on cocaine or something. He's with Mean Gene Okerlund. Look it up on there. You'll laugh your ass off. The dude was totally on fucking cocaine during the promo. Cocaine was a hell of a drug for wrestlers back in the 80s. Yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens with all that with music. Actually, I thought I would have more to say about that. Surprisingly, I don't. So maybe next week or whenever I do another podcast. I got one more thing I want to talk about, and then I'll probably wrap it up after this. But I've been trying to get into a habit of wanting to do doing movie reviews. Not just new movies or whatever, but even like old movies. Like for instance, I watched a real classic from the 90s the other night, Mars Attacks, which is a movie that came out in 1996 and had what an all-star cast. What an all-star cast. Like all the who's who's of the 80s and 90s were in this movie. And I'll read off the cast here. So we had Jack Nicholson, who starred this. He had 2 characters too. I forgot that he had 2 roles. He had 2 different characters. He played the president in one, as the president in one, and then he And then he was also a Vegas hotel owner as the other role. Pierce Brosnan, you remember him as being 007 or James Bond during the 90s. Glenn Close, Sarah Jessica Parker, Martin Short. You remember Martin Short? Oh my God, man. Three Amigos, huh? That was a great movie. A young Natalie Portman. Yeah, that was crazy to see as well. Danny DeVito, always top notch. And and there was Michael J. Fox. I watched Back to the Future, the trilogy, recently as well. Great movies, man. Jim Brown, former NFL star Jim Brown. And then Tom Jones. That's right, Tom Jones. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. A young Jack Black. I mean, shit. Christina Applegate. Paul Winfield. I mean, God. I mean, the list goes on. But yeah. Anyway, this movie, and it was directed by Tim Burton, and just it's been so long since I watched it, and when I last watched it, I was a kid, and I didn't really realize that Tim Burton had directed this, and as I watched the movie, you could totally see the Tim Burton style, the music, like the film scoring music was just sensational. The Tim Burton style, the dark, like horror sci-fi kind of movies, like Edward Scissorhands and all that kind of thing, and then just all the aesthetic was like another thing too. And really, it's just so funny. It was kind of funny to just look at this movie or watch this movie and just because it's aliens it's Martians from Mars, and it just really kind of puts in perspective how old this movie is now. It's a quarter of a century old, and we knew so little about Mars back then too, and knew nothing, or very little, very very little. I don't even know if we even seen images of Mars back then, like on the planet. I don't think rovers were coming around. I think it was a couple years later that the first rover went there. But it was, I mean, I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It was really good. It was nice. It was nostalgic. It was nostalgic, and I wish film scoring was still like that too. It's not like it anymore. The music was just really good. The dialogue was good. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't done cheesy. Maybe it depends on your prerogative on it. But it was solid movie all around, I think. I mean, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. That's what I would think. A very high 4 out of 5. Yeah. So if you happen to come across that movie, or if you remember it, watch it. If you've never watched it, check it out. If you haven't seen it in a while, watch it again. I think you'd enjoy it. So yeah. Good cast, all-star cast. So that's what made it so good. Yeah. Well, all right. Do I have anything else? No, I think that's it. So, yeah. All right, man. I went longer than I thought I was gonna go. Almost an hour and 10 minutes. Okay. Well, I guess that's what I'm gonna leave it at that then. So, well, that's it. I'm Harley Moon, and this has been the On the Moon Podcast.